Hey guys, I'm Scott from English Enhancement, and we're looking at the writing task number 1, writing about graphs. Now, we're only presenting factual data. Many students make the big mistake of assuming what this information means, like assuming that the cost of living is too expensive, or assuming that more people like to go to this restaurant. Only tell the examiner what you can actually see. Be sure to write with a flow of information. We're going to look at the organization right now, but pro tip, always allocate the right amount of time to each section. 5 minutes for organizing, 2 minutes to write your overview, and 2 minutes to proofread. Why 2 minutes to write your overview? Because if you don't have an overview, you are not likely to get more than a bandwidth 5. That's true. So today, our IELTS writing task question will look like this. The graph below shows an average carbon dioxide emission per person in the United Kingdom, Sweden, Italy, and Portugal between 1967 and 2007. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. We have 5 minutes to plan, but today we'll do less. In fact, every sample of the writing test will look the same. So yours should look the same. We need an introduction sentence, an overview sentence, body paragraph 1 and 2, and a conclusion sentence. Remember when I said that the overview is essential? If you don't have an overview, this section here, you won't get more than a bandwidth 5 or 5.5. Hugely important. So, first, start by rephrasing the prompt. Use the phrase, "This chart illustrates." That will tell the examiner that you are looking overall at the chart. What did our chart say? It says the graph shows the average carbon dioxide. But you can't just copy this word for word. You need to use your own words. So we'll say, the chart illustrates carbon dioxide emissions on average per individual or per one person in the countries of the UK, Sweden, Italy, and Portugal between the decades of 1967 and 2007. Change the words a little bit, use synonyms and your own words, and start with the phrase, "This chart illustrates." That's number 1. Number 2 is our overview. Overview, again, is so important. Please don't forget the overview. It is essential. You can start by talking about the 2 to 3 key features in the graph. Usually, we're looking at the extreme high and the extreme low. Or we're looking at the greatest change over time. So the one that had the biggest change. Let's look at our graph. Can you identify 2 to 3 key features? Okay, we have United Kingdom, Sweden, Italy, and Portugal. Some numbers are going down and some are going up. That would be a key feature. 2 countries here, the UK and Sweden, they decreased in emissions per person over time. But Italy and Portugal, they increased over time. Those are 2 very big key features. All right, then we get into our body paragraph 1 and 2. They are short paragraphs because you only have 150 words. Body paragraph 1. Go in depth about the 2 to 3 key features. So here is where you get to tell the examiner exactly what happened. Who, what, when, where, why. Simple format, but you'll never forget these 5 W's. So which countries decreased? When did they decrease? Where, where, that's which countries. Where are they? But can we answer why? In this graph, no, we don't know. We don't know why they decreased over the few decades. And so we cannot assume why they decreased. Good. Body paragraph 2, you can go into the related details. Compare and contrast the increasing and decreasing countries. So we're looking at overall trends, patterns, and outliers. What is an outlier? An outlier is one point on the graph that doesn't follow the trend. Body paragraph 2 is where you get to flex your vocabulary and talk about all of your graph knowledge. Spike, increase, significant change, dramatic decrease, a rise, a fall. We need good vocab. In your conclusion paragraph, please just summarize what happened in the entire graph. It's one sentence, but it's still very important. Time management is hugely important in all of the writing tasks. This is why you should watch the clock, know how much time you have for planning, for organizing, and for writing. So let's quickly review. With our graph, our example, body paragraph 1 will talk about countries that reduced CO2 emissions and increased CO2 emissions between 1967 and 2007. Those are our two big key features: decreased, increased. In body paragraph 2, we will compare and contrast among all four countries. Because whereas United Kingdom decreased, Sweden did as well, although they did see a spike, right? So we want to discuss that. Italy and Portugal follow nearly the same trend over the decades. But what happens right here? Interestingly enough, Sweden and Portugal intersect. They meet at the same point in 2004. But Sweden was decreasing and Portugal was rising over the time. Add that to your paragraph. Before you start writing, in your planning phase, think about the vocabulary you will use. Here are some general terms you can use with graphs. Always follow the adverb verb format. It's much stronger than just a verb. So, consistently increased, significantly dropped, continuously rose. That's our adverb verb. And you can change them like consistently dropped. Then think up some topic words for your subject. In our graph, I chose words like 4 decades, release of emissions, average metric ton per person. You don't have to spend too much time on this. 3 to 4 words is idea. Keywords. Okay, next we're going to write together. So you can watch me prepare and plan my short essay, and then I would like you to practice one using the same graph. All right, so as you can see, this is my response. I'm hoping for a bandwidth of 8.5, and we clearly follow the same structure. My introduction sentence briefly explains what happened in the graph, and I'm rephrasing the graph that we've learned. So the graph illustrates the average carbon dioxide emission per person in blah, blah, blah over the 4 decades of blah, blah. Overall, this is my big sentence. Overall, the UK and Sweden experienced a significant reduction in emissions. However, Portugal and Italy saw considerable increase. 2 key features. In my next 2 paragraphs, first I talk about the UK and Sweden. They went down. And in the next paragraph, I talk about Italy and Portugal, the increase. In my conclusion, I summarized that there was a big difference between the four countries. We had our increasers and our decreasers. And this illustrates their different environmental efforts among countries. I hope yours looks very much the same. Last thing I want to leave you with is on average, people that are unprepared for the IELTS writing task get an average of 5 to 6 on the bandwidth score. It's not enough. Well, for some people, that's okay, but I think most of you are aiming for more than that. If you know how to structure your paragraph and you are prepared with your vocabulary and everything else, you're more likely to get a 6 or a 7 bandwidth score. That's generally what my students are targeting for, sometimes 7.5, but it takes a lot of planning to get there. So if you think this video was helpful and you actually did the writing task for the video, please do send it to me. You could DM me here on YouTube or anywhere else. I'd be happy to look over it and give you some free advice. Thanks for tuning in. Give me a like or subscribe if you like it, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.